I think this may have happened yesterday or the day before, I'm not entirely sure, but apparently there's some guy that many refer to as right-wing and some refer to as fascist. I don't know enough about him to comment, but we'll just put it that way and then you can make your decision. But at a rally, you can see in this photo, somebody stabbed him in the chest. And we have this article from the Daily Caller, which says, "Man who knifed Trump of Brazil, found to be former member of Socialist Party." Conservative Brazilian presidential candidate Jair Bolsonaro was brutally stabbed during a campaign rally. The suspect was identified as Adelo Bispo de Oliveira, a former member of a Socialist Party and sympathizer of left-wing autocrats. The stabbing is likely to help Bolsonaro, who leads polls with his politically incorrect speaking style and pledges to restore law and order to the country. First suspected to be mentally deranged, the man who allegedly stabbed Brazilian presidential candidate Jair Bolsonaro was discovered to be a former member of the Socialist Party. Okay, we get it. Conservative lawmaker Bolsonaro, who leads the polls, he was knifed. Why do they keep... you ever notice that news articles do this? They repeat everything? Okay, let's look at this video. I think this might be the video of him getting stabbed. Oh, yeah. That's kind of hard to see, but right there in the beginning, you can see him take it. He gets stabbed. Wow. Apparently, he was almost dead. Bolsonaro was immediately rushed to a nearby hospital where doctors repaired wounds to his small and large intestine. Wow. The internal injuries were serious, and the patient's life was at risk. At the start of the surgery, his condition was unstable, but we were able to bring it under control and stabilize him, explained Dr. Luiz Henrique Borsado, who was part of a medical team that performed emergency operation on Bolsonaro. The right-wing candidate is expected to remain in the hospital for 10 days and off the campaign trail for about 2 weeks. Doctors said it is too soon to know if he will ever permanently recover. Getting a gut shot like that, I mean, that can be permanent damage, and I don't even want to talk about the medical implications, but suffice it to say, those are your internal organs, and it's hard to repair a lot of that stuff. I'm not a doctor or anything, but I do have, this is actually part of my first aid certification, so this can be serious. But it seems like he's going to survive. After allegedly committing the knife attack, the suspect was immediately subdued by Bolsonaro supporters and taken into police custody, where he was identified as Adelo. We learned that already. Law enforcement first suspected him to be mentally unstable since he claimed he was on a mission from God. However, further investigation into his private life reveals politics might have played a larger role. He maintained membership in the Socialism and Liberty Party from 2007 to 2014, reported Veja magazine, according to Bloomberg. The Socialism and Liberty Party is a radically left political party in Brazil that espouses socialist, feminist, and anti-capitalist views. Also notable is Oliveira's social media activity. The suspected assailant had posted messages on his Facebook account that were critical of Bolsonaro and gave praise to Nicolas Maduro, the socialist president of Venezuela, according to the Daily Mail. Oliveira's lawyer told local media that his client had confessed to the attack, but is maintaining that he did not intend to kill the presidential candidate. The incident was, I'm going to take that. That's hard to believe. That's a long knife. There's other videos of it. It was a long knife, and it was a gut shot. I can't imagine you're not trying to kill someone if you stab them in the stomach, okay? The gut, right? Not specifically the stomach. The incident has shaken what is already an unusual campaign season in Brazil. Bolsonaro, a longtime lawmaker, leads the pack of presidential candidates. The only candidate who has polled ahead of him is former left-wing president Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. They got long names in Brazil, man. A man who has been officially barred from participating in the election, given the fact that he is serving time in prison for corruption. Bolsonaro has upended the Brazilian political establishment and garnered a mass following with his irreverence toward political correctness and his brash speaking style. In fact, he has been frequently referred to as the Trump of Brazil for his straight-shooting rhetoric. For example, during a heated exchange in 2014 regarding military-related rapes, Bolsonaro told Congresswoman Maria do Rosario, a former member of the Communist Party of Brazil, that she was too ugly to be raped. Oh my God. I don't think Trump has ever crossed that line in a public conversation, but Trump has danced pretty damn close to it, and we do have private recordings of Trump conversations, but goddamn, if that's not, they call that politically incorrect, that's about as politically incorrect as you can get. During a public speech in 2017, the father of 4 boys claimed his one daughter was the result of a moment of weakness. At a campaign rally Wednesday, Bolsonaro kicked into the crowd an inflatable doll of Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, the jailed former president and his left-wing rival. However, Many Brazilian citizens cite Bolsonaro's vow to bring law and order into the country as their main reason for supporting him. Bolsonaro, who was a military officer before entering politics, has garnered a tough man image among the electorate, many of whom crave more security during a time of rampant drug and gang-related crime. Let me please point this out. What Chris Hedges has said, more specifically, I did a video about what he said, but let's just talk about how when Antifa shows up to a rally in Portland and bashes someone over the head with a club, you are supporting the right, the far right, when you do that. You know why? Because the average person, the average law-abiding American normie, doesn't want to support presidential candidates who don't take action against violence. Look, listen, there are families in the middle of this country, in the suburbs. They live in homes, they have children, and they want to know their children will be safe. And the same is true for most people in the world, especially Brazil. When gangs, when criminals, when Antifa shows up and attacks people, that scares the average person. And then when you get a strong conservative voice who says, I will bring law and order and keep you safe, they say, please do it. So what this attack is going to do, in my opinion, the attack on Bolsonaro is going to bolster support for him. He was at a rally. He's got a big old smile on his face. They're lifting up in the air. They're cheering for him, and someone tried to kill him. Now, they claim they didn't try to kill him, but come on, man. I'm going to have to say, when you jam a knife in someone's chest like that, you're trying to kill him. People are going to sympathize with him. They're going to be angry at the violence. It's going to remind them that that violence could happen at a moment, and it could happen to them and their children. And the same is true for America. The more violence we see, the more likely it is you're going to support the law and order candidates. The presidential candidate is also a supporter of free market reform, earning him a support base among the country's business class. In fact, Brazil's currency and stock market immediately rose upon the news of his stabbing, with investors believing the incident would foment sympathy for candidacy and propel him closer to victory, like I just said. The first round of the presidential election will be held in October. The top two candidates of that election will move on into the runoff. Now, I don't know a whole lot about Brazilian politics, and this story is generating a lot of buzz in the US, mostly among right-wing and conservative news outlets, because this guy is called the Trump of Brazil, and because someone tried to kill him, and especially because the person who tried to kill him is a former member of a socialist party. Now, when we talk about left and right violence, I often say it is more likely that someone like Antifa or your run-of-the-mill leftist will attack your average citizen, but not murder them. We've seen people get their hats stolen, drinks splashed in their face, eggs thrown at them. They've been beaten up, chased, things like that. But when it comes to extreme violence, it's much, much more rare, and typically it's lone wolf types that are associated with the right. So there is, violence on both sides. But specifically, I believe people talk about violence when they're talking about like more commonplace violence. I would believe it's fair to say majority of the instances of violence are going to be low-level attacks from the left on the right. Just do a Google search and type conservative attacked or Trump supporter attacked, and these are the kinds of stories that are not surprising to people. A politician, someone tried to kill him. But how do you think Antifa responded to the news that a political candidate who is a fascist was nearly murdered? Well, we can take a look at least one guy. This is George Ciccarello, I can't pronounce his name, Mar. And he said, I was having a good day, and then fascist at Jair Bolsonaro got stabbed, so now I'm having a great day. And he posted an image of a man who had just been stabbed in the gut. This terrifies me, okay? You want to talk about safety and law and order and security for our country. And you have people in our country. This is a man who lives in Philly and Mexico City. So I guess in the US, he's in Philadelphia, who is cheering, who is happy at this look on this man's face. Okay, listen. There are people in this world who are evil and sick. And I, as someone who is socially liberal, I'm against the death penalty. Okay? I am only begrudgingly pro-choice. It's a complicated issue. But for the most part, I think life is extremely important. Even for my enemies, I would not wish death upon them. Yes, it's a complicated issue, I assure you. And philosophically, I sit here staring up at the sky, trying to understand how the world works. But one thing I explained in a video just a couple days ago or whatever, imagine what it would be like to not exist. You can't. And that's what you are thrusting someone into when you take their life. And to me, what that says is, for one, Life is, I believe that life is the meaning. The meaning of life is literally to have life, okay? I view life as a part of the balance of the universe. We have entropy, the slow decay and separation and expansion of the universe. I could get more complicated, I'm not going to. But life is negative entropy. It is what we are here to do, to be, to create systems, to create life, and it is valuable, is inherently valuable. The meaning of life is to live. I don't want to get super complicated. I could give you a 2-hour-long philosophical, talk about my spiritual and religious and scientific beliefs. The point is, even if I disagree with this man politically, this photo makes me sad, and this statement makes me scared. Now, I want to point something else out. Bravery is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to stand up in the face of what scares you the most. Simply because people like this worry me, because they scare me with this rhetoric, does not mean I'm not willing to stand up and call them out, or actually stand up and defend against authoritarians who would gloat and cheer for a man who was just stabbed in the chest. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a deranged murderer. I don't care if you're literally the Joker. I am not going to cheer and jump up and down and dance when someone stabs you in the chest. I'm going to begrudgingly accept that it was something that had to be done. There are certain instances where people must be killed. It's rather unfortunate. It is a terrible world. If you can control an individual and they are placed in a prison system, there is a conundrum of having to support them, to pay for them while they can't contribute back to society for the most part, and killing them. And if we can subdue an individual, I much prefer a life sentence. Admittedly, it's a complicated situation, but I can't imagine what it must feel like to be sitting somewhere and being told in a matter of moments, you will no longer exist. Your life will no longer exist. You can't imagine what that would be like. And so when I see a photo of a man who was attacked, it makes me sad. This scares me. And this is, I'm not going to pull it up, but I'm highlighting this guy specifically because he's a high-profile public figure related to the far left. But there is a forum, which I don't want to brigade, where people are talking about how happy they are that this man was stabbed. Okay? You should be cheering for this man to be defeated by logic and reason. You should be cheering that if you don't like this guy, that regular people understood why he should not win, and he didn't. But you shouldn't be cheering when someone tries to take their life. Not a fan of it. Anyway, I think that's it for today. I was going to do another video, but I'm pretty wiped out and I got to do a lot of work. So I'll see you guys tomorrow on the main channel at 4.